Welcome to Astro Mondays. I'm about to bring on Christopher Witecki, and he's going to give us the forecast so that we can know the weather on how to proceed in the ever-evolving here and now. I actually just saw Chris in Vancouver. He was emceeing the Human Garage event in Vancouver. If you guys ever can make it to one of the Human Garage live events, they are a sight to be seen. We had one in Vancouver and then Toronto, and there's always 500 to 1,500 people at these events where you can connect with people. Chris, if you're here, give me a comment so that I can bring you up on the stage. I'm interested to hear on what's going on because the last 10 days has been very interesting for me, very challenging. It felt like I was getting conditioned, much like an athlete would condition. Yes, hoping to come to the one in Cali next month. And there's a couple in Cali. Go to humangarage.net if you guys would like to know about the events. There's a Transforming Trauma big event, and then there's also events for practitioners.
Hello, Rob.
What's up, Chris?
All right.
How's it going?
Hurrah. Good, man. Sorry for the 2-minute delay there to have you tap dance.
All good. Yeah, I know. I'm like, all right, I watch Chris do this on stage all the time. Now I'm just like going and going.
Yeah, totally. Hello. Yeah, things are, to speak to your, there's been a lot of stirrup. There's a lot of stirrup going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the stirrup is around the heart, being happy. Like that's the core issue for everyone. Like if anyone's getting heat or arguments or pushback or whatever, it's because every single person is thinking about, what about me? Everyone simultaneously, what about me? What about my heart? What about my needs? And so behind every argument is this fight or passive aggressive fight, like people have different ways of handling that. But at the core, their heart was worried they would not be happy.
And so within that struggle, we find what makes us happy. I have a question on that, though, because I was wondering, are we all going through all of these events together, like collectively?
Yes, we are. We are at our own place, space, time, our own level. So for a college student, it might be that my heart really wanted this class and I can't get it. And what's the point of being in this school if I can't get what I want? I'm never going to be what I want to be. And it's that's the heart screaming out for scared that I won't get what my heart wants. So, but then you could have, I have people, for instance, I have a lot of people in my organization who are coming to me and saying they don't feel loved by me. They don't feel like that I appreciate them. They don't feel like I care for them. And the truth of the matter is, okay, I do. So we have a major communication issue here, or we have a major stumbling block here. Or in some cases, this is where it gets messy. In some cases, they've had their whole life where no one paid attention to them. And actually, I'm the one that actually is the first one that does. I'm the one that's trying to do the right thing. And so all the frustration from the wrong things pours out on the person who's trying to do the right. In some cases, not that it's a blame or anything, but they see Hitler when they see Trump. When people see Trump, they see Hitler, they see Mussolini, they see anyone that oppressed them in the past life. That's half the hysteria, in my opinion. Half of it is that. And that's why things are complicated, because yes, you may not like what this person's doing, but also aren't you being a little dramatic because you're bringing all this past stuff to the table that you're unaware of, right? And projecting on others. So that's the stickiness of it.
Yeah, and being aware of our own nature to do that. We're all programmed to do that. We're almost blinded to it. And it's usually the people around us can see it better than we can. And then being able to trust the feedback.
Right.
And then also know that their feedback is coming from their perspective. So it's like this whole multidimensional thing that we're all figuring out together.
Totally. And I think the solution is, well, my theory, we'll see if it works. But at the end of the day, it's does your heart love me? I love you. So then if that's the case, if we love each other as friends, as anything, we have love, well, then we're going to figure this out, because that's the core issue, isn't it? isn't the core issue that you're with someone that doesn't love you or care about you? Like, isn't that behind every fear you have? Is that, this person has actually got another agenda, or, or
Right.
is haphazardly mishandling you, and they might be. And honestly, if you know the heart space is there and they keep mishandling you, then you even dismiss them with love. Like, look, I love you, but you are a mess and you make my life crazy, but I love you. And I will see you in heaven or next time we hang out or whatever. But at least then it's like, we're good. We just don't necessarily match in this moment.
It's almost like having that personal philosophy as well. If we have a philosophy that everyone's out to get us, or that everyone's just like our father treated us, or we're all in a progression, or, an astrologically based philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
then we can view from that perspective and commit to that. It's almost like our life is organized around what we have an ability to perceive things as.
The context of our belief structure, I think, is what it is. So when you talk philosophy, my word is belief structure. Not the one's better than the other, but it's like it's bigger than just that one philosophy, because the reason why there are, I think, competing religions is they're fighting over philosophy, and there's an inherent problem underneath that, which is a disagreement on a belief. Okay, and this interesting conversation. So if you believe there's only one way,
Right.
okay, then I disagree with you. There's unlimited ways. So you're falsely informed, friend. There's not just one way. There's not the way to Christ or the way to Allah or the way to anything. There's the way you create always. And when we say there's a way, it's just because some jackass made it there first and then suddenly it creates a whole, like everyone follows, and now it's the way. It's that way because no one else was willing to carve their own way at the time. So then once they find the way, not by their own means, they find it by globbing onto someone else's ideas, then suddenly they feel very threatened if some other way competes with their way. Why? Because they didn't come up with a way. They subscribed to it. It was something they subscribed to. It wasn't, if they built it themselves, if people made their own religion and their own beliefs from their own heart, then they wouldn't care that you weren't on their way. Because you made your way, so go make your way, buddy.
You have a solid foundation and structure, and you're not threatened. But if
and it's yours,
right,
you
and
own it.
Right. That's the follower thing's interesting because you almost are less invested, but you're more protective of that because you're afraid that somebody's going to disrupt this thing that you've been coddling, even though you didn't put in the work to achieve the wisdom.
Right. And so in essence, it's because you've invested your power outside of yourself. You said this church or science and reason, because science and reason is part of the reason this is a problem. So that, we had the Pope that was abusing everyone, killing people, raping people, all sorts of horrible things, right? Saying that you're going to go to hell unless you know that I'm the way. And if you don't believe that I'm the way, I'll kill you, right? That was where we were with religion. Science was like, to fight religion, they said, no, there is a scientific way. That just is. Right. And the scientific way must be proven with evidence. Otherwise, it doesn't exist, right? So now we have science as our religion. We're really all, science is the world religion, the number one world religion. That you believe that everything is already made. Human beings were basically a stumbling accident that just happened to happen through amoebas, having sex with other amoebas. And then suddenly we can create the human race. And they can prove it because they see signs looking at the evidence. Like, makes sense.
We lost you at looking at the evidence. Signs
okay.
Looking at the evidence.
Okay, sorry. I had a call come in. The point is that when that happened, when science said it has to be scientifically proven, right, they suddenly took away the possibility that there's magic until you can prove it.
That's
right?
more than one answer.
Right. So their way now became the way, right? And then they've learned how to cheat all the studies to make it look like their way is credible, because the truth is they actually don't have evidence most of the time for what they figure out. And like, you ask a doctor, how does this medicine work? Like, they don't know how aspirin works. They don't know. Isn't that magic? You don't know? I thought you were a scientist.
We don't know how electricity works either. We don't know a lot of things. Scientists basically are just disproving each other over and over and over again.
Right.
And then in whatever moment of time we're in, we have the ones that are politically the most powerful and have their systems infused into the belief system and the schooling of the culture, and they're the dominant, that's the dominant perspective. Schools also, like you were saying, religion, schools are programming, that's A, B, C, or D. Only one of them, the other three are completely wrong. It's programmed us to always have selective choice over one perspective.
The choice they offer us. So it's
Right.
like, right, they're like, you have two choices. Here's your choices. You want this or this. These are two solutions. Like, wait a second. Why is it limited to two? So the idea is to think in a slavery way. Like when we have multiple choice, we're teaching you how to be a slave because we're telling you never guess, never ask why I chose these five. Never
Right.
Never take my role as the test maker. You are not qualified to be a test maker. You are only a test taker. I'm a maker. You're a taker. I know everything. You know nothing. Right? So there's a psychological domination that happens in that consciousness. And so people are trapped in their minds as a result because everyone's in their minds trying to find the right answer in their mind. And the mind only knows what it's seen. So if you've never seen it, you don't have the right answer in your mind. It's not going to go there, right? Science would say, go investigate, right? Go research. And that's true. You do research, but ultimately it's not the mind. So there's a fundamental issue with everything in religion or whatever that we not only have been sold someone else's way, but we've been taken away our powers of analytics. We've been dumbed down to think in certain brainwashed terms. We are not trained to think outside of our own box. And so we cannot find our own way. The way we're on doesn't work, and we don't feel like we have the right to find our own.
And so, do you see a progression through that? I mean, that's very obviously where we're at now in the last, few decades that I've been alive. That's definitely been the case.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we? Like, do you have an opinion on like why this is happening? How does this flow into whatever's next?
I do. I mean, I feel like they screwed up when they made the internet. They screwed up. They gave access to all information everywhere, from anyone independently broadcasting, from anyone independently publishing. Suddenly they lost control. And I say they because I think it's a few elite families and corporations and people are rich. I really do think that's it. We need to be honest with this and stop talking about it. Just go look at who owns what and you'll see for yourself the potential power they have. Now ask yourself, is it possible they abuse it? Is it possible? Right? Like, is it maybe possible? So that said, yes, we are waking up. I think the term of waking up is coming to our own independent, finding our own way, coming to our own independent realizations that this doesn't, look the way it does. The other way is I think God has cheated here. Not really, it's his system, but our psychic awareness is expanding naturally, whether you know it or not. Like, so we're opening up, right? We've been opening up with Neptune and Pisces since 2012. So we've been psychically opening up. Now, this is causing a couple of things. One, it's causing the past life of Mussolini to think Hitler's Mussolini. So because you were more tapped into your past life memories, you are projecting your ancient life onto the present more than you realize. And you are exaggerating things and feeling the pain of the past and projecting on the future because when you look around, like, that's the only thing I can see that's making me so upset. So it's like, that's it. That is making me upset. But that's just a Rorschach test. That's just, I think Trump is very much a Rorschach in that sense that he represents something. And, regardless of your opinions of him, I do think he plays that role. I think it's a healing role in the sense that, yeah, you need to get over Mussolini. God, we shouldn't be still hurting about that type of thing. So the psychic awareness brings up the past that we project on the present. And that's very challenging in this stage. Very, very challenging. But on the other hand, the intuition open means I don't feel he's telling me the truth. Suddenly, a non-scientific piece of evidence is admitted into court.
Right.
And right, which so now science has lost its grip in the sense of this idea. People go, well, that's what they say, but right, like people are beginning to make themselves the authority of the information. They're beginning to say, that's not what I feel, and making them as the only credible source they need. They're starting to see, and what's interesting too is because it's the first time they've had that power, they go too far. So
we're figuring it out.
Right. And so it's messy. And so no, damn it, it won't be this way. Like it's like, whoa, whoa, you don't have to scream. You're screaming because you finally found your voice.
Yeah,
And so
zero.
there's also this overstepping where it's like, Jesus Christ. And so then you're like, the way they present it, they're presenting the truth, but the way they're presenting it is now making me not buy your truth, right? Like I'm getting defensive. My ego's going up because you're attacking me for something you've always known and only spoke up in this 135th lifetime. And there's a part of you that's just like, blah, like just, so happy to be free, but it's like sometimes vomiting on other people, right?
This,
The wrong people, the wrong time.
this 135th lifetime, were you just saying that as an example, or is it something we're all experiencing?
That's probably the range of humans right now, from what I understand.
That we
It's like
all have that much experience.
on Earth. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Most of us. Yeah, I don't even think you can get here unless you're a certain age galactically. Like there's a wait line to be on Earth. It's a privilege. If you're here, you're lucky.
It's
Souls,
very,
and now that they're killing off people, right? Like in mass groves with these, we'll just say experiments. Like now that people are dying in rapid rates and stuff like that, even more, the death rate's going up. Even less ability to come to Earth.
yeah, it's like there's bigger bouncers holding the door closed,
Yeah,
and
totally.
everyone's watching from the outside as we're in it. We're in the game here.
Yeah, totally.
It's a big responsibility. I like what you said about, well, the internet bringing people's awareness. It's broadening everyone's awareness, and then now we're all gaining a voice, and we're screaming and yelling at each other because we're expressing that, and we're going to
Mm-hmm.
all find a cohesive, just like babies do that at 2 years old. They're screaming, they're throwing, and they call it the terrible twos. They're having tantrums because they're learning how this all works up here.
Mm-hmm. And they're still under the core belief that they're still under the spell of science. And the spell of science is, this is reality. You can't change it, and you have no power. This is the way it is. That's science. This is the way it is. We can prove it. That's their thing. This is the way it is. We can prove it. And us magical people, we can't prove it according to science's games. Yeah, I can't prove it according to your rules. I can't win Monopoly according to Pac-Man. How am I going to win Monopoly according to Pac-Man? Right? Completely different games. So science is saying you got to play by our game to prove, and I'm saying who the fuck
Right.
made you? Just like they said to the Pope, who the fuck are you? So it's like they are now the Pope, and that is karma, where you become what you've come to the other side of what you are. And I do think science is, my opinion of science is the proof of magic. What it proves is how magic works. That's how it proves. That's what it proves. It proves me, right? So you want to say,
It
how did this
validates.
spell happen? Right. So how is it that, it's well documented that Jesus healed people, right? Okay. I mean, I have a good example. Dr. Eben Alexander, he died he died from, he had a near-death experience, right? And I can't remember the term he had in his brain, but he came back from a near-death experience completely healed in like 4 days. Entire medical science was like, what? That's not supposed to happen. Did they bother figuring out how it happened? No, it's just written off as a medical mystery. Why not? He was gonna die and now he's not. And you refuse to investigate that. See, that is, now you are not using your rules to debunk my rules. It's selective whenever it serves you. Yeah, interesting.
There's so many examples of that. So many, like people getting struck by lightning and dying, and then all of a sudden they're like a math genius, and they change the world with their philosophies. I forget the name of the person I'm thinking of, but there's so many examples of people produce, like you said, magic. I view science as logic, like masculine logic, and then the magic is the other way, where we don't have the science to figure it out, but it's only a matter of time. Science is laughably proving and validating things that have been known by cultures for thousands of years, known by us who have been open-minded for our, most of our lives, or maybe people are just waking up to it. But like science is laughably saying like, oh yeah, maybe meridians are a thing. Maybe the planets are having impact on our wavelengths. Maybe people are able to feel or quote predict future events, and maybe their hearts are resonating at a different frequency before a big reality impacting event is going to happen. We just don't pay attention to it. It doesn't make the news.
Well, there's a reason for that. So there are scientists that have come up with and proven miracles, and you know what their funders said? That stays in
Can't make
here, because there's a bigger agenda here beyond the scientists, which are the money behind the science. Which is why, it's who pays for the study that you need to study, right? Who's paying for that study, right? Because there's an intention there to create an illusion that this is the way it is because we have evidence. But the way you look at evidence and everything else, we can go down that, you go to a court trial, for instance, you go to a court trial of like some car crash. Each side brings on an expert witness. And so they're both saying from scientific expertise that they are actually more scientifically right than the others. So they don't even agree amongst themselves. So that's a bunch of hokey magic right there.
Yeah, and they pay those witnesses. They pay those expert witnesses as well. I
Exactly.
actually have a friend who, he's an engineer. He's very successful in many different things, but I think he does on the side. He's an expert. He's one of those people that gets paid to formulate an opinion, to look at the evidence, and he gets hired by one of those sides to formulate an opinion. And it's like you said, it's literally you're working for the people that are paying you, and it's just up to you to find evidence to structure an argument, just like we all do.
And so this goes to, actually, this is all good for today's astrology too, because actually we're dealing with today, in Virgo, we're dealing with the evidence, Virgo versus the spirit, Pisces. And the truth of the matter is that people have looked to the big change. So people who are with me or not with me, this is the fundament. Either you believe that you create this reality and this is a reflection of you, or you believe you are stuck in a reality that's not part of you. Which is it? Because if you think you're stuck in a reality that's not part of you, I can't help you. Go on to another astrologer. I cannot help you. You fundamentally have a core disagreement about the nature of life that I do. My belief about the nature of life is this is a reflection of me, period. Therefore, I am the king. I am the god of my life. Everything that happened, even bad things, is my amateur at doing magic. It's just that I'm amateur. It's not that I'm bad. It's that I'm learning how to do it. I'm learning how to make this world create what I imagine, right? So if you live by the evidence as fact in itself, right, that no one was there to hear the tree, but it still made a sound. That's science. There was no one there to hear the tree in the forest, but it made a sound because that's how physics works, right? Versus our perspective of, well, it may or may not have made a sound. It depends on if I wanted to hear it in my reality, if it made a sound. So it made a sound for me, but it made a sound for you. We have different realities, right? That's my perspective, right? And so this worldview perspective is so fundamental. That's going to be what I think divides us really at the core.
I want to come back to that.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead if you wanted to finish off.
I was going to segue into astrology. Maybe you're doing the same thing.
That's what I wanted to bring you back, because you mentioned Virgo and Pisces. So can we zoom in on that?
Yeah. So Pisces energy. So Pisces energy is like a safety deposit vault of all of your subconscious and your past life memories. So Pisces is all the spiritual stuff you brought, the baggage you brought to Earth is in Pisces, all the baggage. So of course, all the hard stuff's in there, and then the hopes and dreams, and then the intentions for the soul's growth, like all of it. So the whole arc of your being. Virgo is the embodiment of that Pisces energy, the crystallization, the making it into reality. So Virgo is what we realize as true. And if you realize that it's true, then you have just declared it as true as the king or queen of your own kingdom. So you say, I realize this is true. How many times you said, I realize now that I'm in love with her? And then realize, later, no, I realized I always thought I was in love with her as my sister, right? Like that realization, just your whole life was you're in love with her. Now you think it's some sort of a ghost of your sister. And for you, it's real. And so it is, right? So Virgo is that we conclude that it is real, and so therefore it is. That's why science is telling you, no, this is what we want you to conclude. These things. Make this your reality. Nice guys finish last. Girls who aren't this weight won't ever find love. We give them all these through media and everything else. This is your reality. So what the person does is go, oh, I guess it's the reality. And so it is, right? Because they didn't have the empowerment to choose outside the multiple choices. They weren't told they can choose outside, like none of the above was an answer. And so people just buy it, right? And on the same token, they're manifesting their problems into their life all the time, whether they realize it or not. They are realizing these problems and they're seeing problems with their soul reflected in their life. So if you see problems with your soul reflected in your life, if you're from the worldview that you are alone and you're stuck in the world, then it looks like the world is picking on you, right? So
Right.
if you don't believe you create the world, then you feel victimized by the world, which is what they want you to feel, is a victim, because then they're the master, right? So if someone's been victimized, then you suddenly have a higher power than you here on earth that you can't subscribe to. So the other camp of people, when we see problems in our life, we go, oh, my soul must be grappling with this, because the third time a person's told me this week. That's a reflection of my soul. That my soul's telling me through what I fart manifest. That's a fart manifest. You actually just farted out like something your soul didn't want to deal with. It manifests in front of you. You didn't mean it. Excuse me. You didn't mean to manifest it. Like it's showing the gas. It's showing what's decomposing in your soul. Basically, is an interesting analogy. And one camp goes, "Why is everyone always farting on me?" Right. Another camp goes, "God, I got some gas." You know what I mean?
Right.
So when we go to Virgo, what we do is we say, do I really think that's true now? We realize. So, and that's what this week is about you. So we are realizing that inside of ourselves, we are to become something else. We're to become someone different. To ourselves at first. To ourselves. So it's like, if the whole world's yelling at you, don't be focused on the world this week. Focus on what your inner self does when that happens, right? So now the tendency is to blame the world. And the reason why we blame the world is because science told us the world is absolute, so the world exists on its own, and so we have no power in the world. So yes, we blame the world because we're seeing this pattern that keeps happening to us. It's a pattern because it's coming from our Pisces subconscious, so we're manifesting the pattern ourselves. But if you don't believe you're in control of reality, you think the world is picking on you. You think there's something less, you're less than, less deserving, less, because of the evidence you have realized subconsciously. So the goal here is this week is to realize a different response to yourself. So today we're in beliefs. So if I call you stupid, what was your response inside yourself? Like, do you believe, is your response that I do believe in myself, this person is mistaken? Or is your response, the world's always calling me dumb or picking on me? Is that your response to yourself, where you go into victim and you get on yourself side and you're gonna fight the world that you manifested in your sleep? That's your creation, right? Like, or is your response like, oh man, I'm not getting this magic down yet. Like, I obviously must not be believing myself somewhere if I have someone questioning my belief, or maybe I'm questioning my belief inside me because the magic mirror of reality just showed me 3 people who said they don't have faith in me when I know I believe in myself. So something's not working between me and the matrix. Something's not working. And really something's not working between you, because people think that it's what I've learned that actually it's a response. It's a response. The power is in response. We've been told in the scientific community, I mean, just keep calling out science, which is good for measuring shit, but that's about it. They made airplanes. I appreciate them. But the truth is, we're thought to believe that what we initiate, what we start, is what's important. Look where you started. It's really not that. It's after you start, the first wave that comes back. How you hit the ball back the second time is what creates your fate. It's not the first initiation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I find that very often it's not that somebody says, you're stupid. There's events that happen. Maybe someone makes you feel that way, or you think they make you feel that way, or something happens that you start to feel disharmonious or shame or even anger. And it's within those experiences that I personally find the greatest self-evolution and growth. It even happened to me at the Human and Garage event. I had an interaction with somebody and I responded in a way that I'm like, wow, I'm glad this happened to me, because now when it happens again, it's going to allow me to evolve as a person. So like it's almost just like clues and cues to push us into being more than we are, because we have that if we have that belief system, like you said, that we're creating all of this and everything is happening for us, it's happening for a reason, and we get to determine that reason.
Yes, and, pardon me, but you're actually one step ahead there. And that might be me setting it up that way. The first thing is the reason why you respond to that person in a way you don't like is because you have responded to yourself in a way you don't like. Somewhere when you're talking to you, you're that same jackass or whatever you consider yourself to be in that moment. I'm being funny, trying to be funny. So when we respond to, so let's say inside of you, when you have a similar threat or a similar impression of you, you give you a similar response to the one you give that person.
Got it. Yeah, because it's like it was on autopilot.
Yep.
There was completely unconscious response that I
Yep.
was like, whoa, that wasn't best case scenario. That
Well, yeah, when subconscious and fate, it just takes over. You find yourself as a passenger, like, why did I do that?
right.
And what it was is because it was a subconscious Pisces energy that was realized. You realized it. You made it real to realize it in you. So if you refuse to go and meditate and give nice vents, you gotta you gotta give your subconscious lots of vents to steam up. Okay, like meditation, quiet time, even things like art and drawing where you're just clear and you've cleared your mind of the noise. If you don't clear your mind of the noise, well then that subconscious is gonna barge up and it's gonna manifest it in a very dramatic like, do you see? Sort of way. So you can't deny it. And you're like, God. And even then, if you're from the belief structure that the world is solid, and then you're going to see it as someone picking on you. You're not going to see it as, oh my God, my subconscious has been trying to get through to me for so long. It finally manifested this embarrassing event.
Amazing. This is an amazing conversation.
It is. It's good.
The Pisces and Virgo that you're mentioning, this is, and then you mentioned today is belief. Could you elaborate a little bit for those not familiar, like what you mean by today is belief? Like what's tomorrow?
Okay, so that's a good question. What I've discovered with the step system that I downloaded from my subconscious, I had it sitting there in my baggage. Look at this. Oh shit! Look at this book. I should give it to Earth. Is that human conscious is actually very, very actually scientific. It's very, very methodical and numerological. Like consciousness goes from step to step to step. Which means God makes you basically turns your head and points your attention. That's what astrology is. It points your attention. It forces your attention. It's like, hey, whoa, it's one of those things. So it points your attention through a sequence of states of awareness. And states of awareness are basically the 12 signs, but those 12 signs are the 12 ways human beings can perceive their virtual reality. They can see it through action, Aries, or thought, Gemini, or Cancer, emotion, or they can perceive it through their heart, Leo. So we can perceive the world in all these ways. The step system shows you the precise calculation of where we're being forced to perceive today. So yesterday we were forced to perceive our emotions, step 2. Today we're forced to perceive our beliefs about ourselves, step 3. Tomorrow we're forced to perceive what side of our heart that we take. So step 4 is, well, what side of your heart are you on? Step 4 is. Step 13 is, what side of your heart are you on in daily life? Step 22 is, what side of your heart are you on when it comes to the future and the big picture of things? So, are you on, and interestingly enough, it's all that duality. So are you on the side of your heart that loves you and does the best thing for you? Or are you on the side of your heart that you're going to somehow have to prove it or jump through hoops or have conditional self-love? So what's going to be said in the next 48 hours between 3 and 4, 3 is, what do you really believe about yourself? What does your heart really believe about yourself? Do you believe what you've been told by the matrix? So are you taking the outside world's opinion of you? Because if you are, you got it backwards. You're actually seeing the mirror image of yourself as the source of yourself. You're not seeing it as a reflection. So if you believe in if you believe in your heart you are talented and the world's telling you you're not, you're right. Well, then why is it happening? Because you don't believe you're right. So although you are right and you feel that, you haven't actually declared it as a belief. So this can go in lots of shades of gray, but ultimately, do you believe in yourself? Does your heart really believe in who you are and how you operate? Is your heart really happy with the way all your philosophies are in place, that you should go to bed at this time. Whenever you say should, that's a belief, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that. You're shooting all over yourself there. But ultimately, that's your belief saying, hey, my belief is this. Now we get to even deeper talk, because was that belief crafted on what your heart was telling you, or was that belief crafted on what the internet told you? Right? So if it came from the internet, unless your heart said, hell yeah, that's a manifestation like mine, if you came in as like, oh, I guess I'm wrong, they're right, then you just took on a false belief about yourself. Why is it false? Because your heart didn't create it. It's not something you would have created. Therefore, it's not for your creation of your life. If you didn't create it, it's not for you. But wait, there's right and wrong. According to who? Only your heart.
Mm-hmm.
If your heart feels it's right, it is. And that's the role you're supposed to play. So even horrible, dark roles that people play on Earth, their heart signed up to play the bad guy in the film. Their heart wanted that role. Their heart loved it. It's exciting. Because from the perspective of heaven, this is just a virtual reality game. They just signed up for, 1942 adventure. That, by the time you erase of all that, you come down here and you believe the game. So today is, what you believe about yourself, is it coming from your heart, or is the belief about yourself coming from outside opinion and outside situations, right? And then tomorrow it's like, well, if you believe all this, are you going to be like a radical on the side of your heart, or are you going to keep cowering in the corner? What side of your heart do you belong on if you believe this? And that's how the step system work, is they all build to conclusions automatically. We're sort of pushed to conclusions. We're pushed basically through this constantly cycling lesson plan, right? Where we process all these observations, and then step 8, what do you decide? Step 9, what do you decide on? Step 10, what do you manifest? Step 11, what do you become? So it's literally the steps of how we become. So we are reprogramming what we allow ourselves to become on the inside. And that will, next week after step 11, then begin to allow you to reprogram the matrix outside of you. You have to remember, the world is a reflection of you. So if you want to change the world, you better be really good with you before you do it. Otherwise, you're going to create the same mess that you are.
I love that. And there's an app and there's a program where you get messages to allow you to be aware of what the focus is of the day.
Yes, of the day.
I was going to say, when we're in the back room before like going up on stage and things are going, like, it's wild behind the scenes, like at these events. Usually we pull it all together for the crowd, but there's a lot of things happening that are all dynamic. I'm not saying it's like a shit show or anything. Like there's just every city, every circumstance, every building has its own dynamic energies that we're fitting in and jostling around with, we're dancing with. And so we're checking your daily messages while we're doing that, because that allows us to bring some meaning to the situation.
Thank you.
Which is cool.
Brings context.
Right.
Yeah, so what my service does is tells you where are we on the ride. So it's like, all right, on the right of your heart, you're on this step. On the right of your mind, you're on this step. On the right of this, you're on this step. So all the different parts of your consciousness are actually all at different steps. That's what makes it so confusing. So it's like, my heart is at, I even know today I don't have the right chart out, but today the sun is at 3 degrees, right? So my heart is about believing, but Mercury's retrograde back in Leo. So my mind is thinking back in times when I didn't get what my heart wanted, in times when maybe reconsidering, maybe I don't have the best plans. Maybe this isn't the right thing to do. Maybe I should rethink what I'm doing. So my heart wants to know, what do I believe in myself? My mind's way off thinking about something else. So what this does is help you understand this is where your attention is being drawn to, for a good reason, by the way. So part of the lesson is, and this is what we teach, this is ultimately what I'm coaching. It's like, you can be a force that tries to push through, or you can be a force that dances with. So if the sun's at step 3 and God's been doing this for a million years, maybe we should just focus on that and put down the whole worry about your babysitter, right? Like, so there's how to manage your own inner consciousness is really what we teach at Serious Joy. Like, how do you manage you? Humans didn't come with an instruction booklet. And we don't have the booklet, but we have the clues. We have the algorithms. We can see how it's going to work. And we're working out a book one day, perhaps, but it doesn't matter, because like you said with the events, because life is always changing, the matrix is always changing, the options are always changing, there's never really going back to anything you ever were ever. You know, it's always a little bit different.
Oh, this is an interesting question by Water K9. It says, my twin sister and I have the same astrology. Does that mean we're on the same step experience?
Everyone in the whole, yes, the answer is yes. I've never seen them be different steps twins to this day. So twins are interesting in lots of ways. It's either one soul that's split in two because the soul wasn't want to do like an A/B test. So a lot of twins are just A/B tests for the soul. They're like, oh, I'll play the asshole, I'll play the nice one, I'll see which one. We'll go back and review the tapes. Like, so they're playing different parts of themselves. Sometimes they play different parts of themselves because the soul wants to really experience something very new. And so it's just splitting from having been all the same all the time. So they become opposites in the life, and they don't like each other or whatever. And so that they always have something to compare themselves to constantly, separate and differentiate themselves. Sometimes twins are actually just like a soul like brings like a backpacker through Europe to come through with them, and they're like, let's do this ride together, it'd be fun. And so they just split the ice cream cone on Earth and call themselves twins. And again, they're like, those are the best friend twins. They're always comparing notes and having fun along the way. Those kind of twins, they know that this is all a game and they're just trying out different things and it's fun to be here. And they got each other's back for life. They're like BFFs. So there's like the BFF twins too. Then you have twin flames, which is like my first example where the soul splits into two. But that evolves because once you split into two, you start to acquire knowledge in different areas. And so then the twin flames have to keep coming back and sort of like trading notes, right? So anytime a twin flame comes back after that Romeo and Juliet one, they start growing, but they have to come across each other and start teaming up every lifetime or so. So there's twins and there's spiritual twins too.
And so you mentioned twin flames, which suggests that souls can be external to like our family. Do we have a family that's beyond our physical family that's more like an astrologically based family? How do you perceive that?
Astrology is just like the colors and the shapes you chose when you came down. So we all, astrology is you got to pick out a vibe, like when you're getting dressed, like what's the vibe of my shoes? What's the vibe of my pants? What's the vibe of my shirt? What's the vibe of my hat? Either the vibe goes together, the vibe doesn't go together. But if you're anyone like my son who cannot match things together, and I have to be the one who matches, then you incarnate choosing a whole bunch of crazy different vibes because you're quite new at this, and you end up manifesting all this astrology that's contradictory, or you are still struggling with those conflicts inside of yourself and you manifest contradictory. But we are all actually one, from what I understand. And from what I understand, there are generations of souls. So twin flames actually make new souls, is what I'm learning. So new souls come from when twin flames split into four. So when your soul gets to become so big and knowledgeable that you split off into aspects of yourself to go investigate. So two twin flames become four. And the most I've seen on Earth is six. And those are really old souls that have probably been in like 3 or 4 planets and lived for a very long time. So amongst your level, your class, you're all connected as a oneness. So the same, any soul born today and from two different twin flames, they're going to be their family because they arrived at the same moment in space-time or the same frequency. They come from the same frequency. So in heaven, it's not family, it's frequency.
And what you just explained, I'm just asking you questions like I'm interviewing you, but it's interesting.
It's great. Yeah, it's a good interview.
What you just explained, do you have an awareness of how those 6 people or 4 people or 2 people, how they would go about recognizing that they are twin flames or a family flame? Like what is that? Go ahead.
There's an attraction you can't explain. So there's an attraction you can't explain. I just want to go talk to this guy, like but he's in a gay bar and you're straight. Like, so it's like a lot of times it's like there's a weirdness, like because there's something like that. Gay, straight. There's like different class cultures. It's usually because because they're starting where you were a century ago or 2 centuries ago, right? So they're usually they're like very much like you, but also will not be someone you necessarily run in their pack. It's an interesting paradox where you feel very close to them, but at the same time you disagree with a whole lot of shit that they're doing. And the reason why you disagree with what they're doing is because you've been there, done that. The soul knows already. that this isn't good for you. A lot of times when people get really angry at someone else, like, why are you doing that? You're crazy. It's because they had done it and they remember and they're projecting their experience on. So there's a strange feeling of connection, but there's also a simultaneous, like, love you hate, not love you hate you, but there's parts of you that you just definitely do not disagree with. And you do not agree with, and you do not agree with on like a very passionate level, right? Another sign is that you fall in love or friendship or whatever overnight. So there's like an instant love, instant success, like instant access to your heart. You'll also recognize parts of yourself in them because they're aspects of you. So usually at the essence, so when I met my twin flame, when I finally was convinced it was her, was when we got into our first fight, like real on, like, because we're both light workers. She's a light worker in Austria. I'm a light worker here. And I'm pretty sure we came down, I was like, you take Europe, I'll take US. Agree. Like, so we split the earth. And we come in contact every now and then. But when we started fighting, she was coming up with the same brilliant approach that I do in fights or any argument that really cannot be described or explained to anyone, right? She was doing the exact same. And so it was like every time I went to punch, she was like, yeah. So I was like, oh my God, this person's got some sort of invisible force against me. And then I was like, oh my God, of course, she has the ninja book. This is the family ninja book. This is how we do it. So when I recognized a deep, deep part of me that I don't share with anybody, that no one knows about in this other person who did it organically and was, attracted, found me on the earth, that's like the sign.
That's super helpful. That's super helpful. I never even thought about that. But that resonates as definitely a pretty legit sign.
100%. Yeah, and by the way, twin flames are only romantic like the first couple of lifetimes. In fact, if you're romantic with your twin flame, you're young, you're a kindergartner. Sorry. But you're young because, it's like, pardon the expression, but it's like, why would I go to Earth to masturbate in a more organic form? Like, what's the point? Like, and they have this, heated hot sex, in the beginning, that's the rumor with twin flames. That's because they have separated their energy into two parts, right? And so when those parts find each other, like, it wants back to its wholeness, its original state. So there's this crazy attraction that you have. But that's just the very beginning stages of twin flames. It grows into friendship, and then it grows into, like brother, sister the next life after the romantic one. And then after brother, sister, it's like BFFs. And then after BFFs, it's like colleagues I've been at college. It just keeps going up as far as the maturity of seeing yourself reflected in another person.
And so I know romance is a huge topic for a lot of people. And I know that finding your twin flame and linking up with them romantically as life partners seems to be the goal for a lot of people. If you're saying that there might be another option to that, then what's the like, who are we supposed to end up with? Like, what are people who are kind of like unsure with that? Like, where does that leave them?
Okay, so if you're madly wanting your twin flame, then you're ready to mature past that twin flame moment. That means if you're madly wanting your romantic of your twin flame, go for it. I remember it was a hot lifetime. I didn't do anything but make love all day. It's hot. Go for it. What you're doing there is you're exchanging notes in that lifetime to get each other caught up on what each aspect has been learning. Okay. Once you realize this is my brother, it's not sexy, right? It's just not sexy. My twin flame and I are not turned on by each other at all, but we have instant respect for each other. Instant, like, know that each of us are equally wise, right? And so where does relationships turn out? This is the thing. Love is only for as long as you care to be, like, with another person. Like, you basically hook up with people, whether that's a whole lifetime of hooking up or a month of hooking up. Like, there's like a Rolodex in heaven of a lot of people that you want to go on the love ride with. It's like a carnival thing. I want to go on the love ride with you. I do with you too. Oh my God, it's be fun. Let's give it a try. So you do it, and you enjoy it, and you share, and you learn. Like, oh, that was cool. And each person walks away different from having blended their energies. Then, of course, it gets even more complicated when you have children, because now you allow a child to pass through this experiment, right? And so the child brings from both the lines of the two parents, and then begins to create. So this is how we like really mix up the chemistry of Earth. So the truth is that we're meant to I love everybody. You will always love everybody your whole life. I honestly think it's a little dangerous to think that there'd only be one. And I'm not inviting people who are happily married to not be, because if you're happy, then you should. Like, that's the whole point. Like, follow the heart. But the truth of the matter is, I hate to tell your wife, it's unlikely you'll do it again next life. Unlikely, because you'll get to heaven and be like, that was fun. Yeah, yeah. And then it'll play out usually differently. Like, okay, now I'll be the dad and you be the mom. So you switch up the roles usually. In fact, again, just like the twin flame arc, if you're romantic with somebody, this is one of your first lifetimes that, most likely one of the first lifetimes where you explored getting really close to them. But then after the love lifetime, it's almost always family. So, which is really crazy, but like a lot of our brothers and sisters are our exes and stuff.
Right. But there's not really that attraction there.
No, there's not that attraction. Well, there's the love there.
Right.
And in some cases, like brother to sister incest and stuff, or sister, brother. A lot of cases, not that it's right, but it was memory. It was like,
yeah,
in the last life, we were doing this, right? This is what we did. This is who we are. This feels organic to me, right?
Yeah.
Like to one of them, and they're kids, so they don't quite understand that sort of thing. Plus, also, it's learned behavior, so you can have an issue with the family line having, predatory experiences. So, and sometimes people in heaven, I got to tell you, from what I understand, no matter what happens to you, it was on the menu that you ordered. Nothing happens to you that you didn't order up in heaven on the menu. Nothing. You want it because you thought it'd be a cool feature to the Indiana Jones ride.
It's very contradictory to what we're programmed to believe, that the things that happen to us are chosen. And because it doesn't fit into our science, it doesn't fit into what we're taught, that we can choose this lifetime, that we can choose our parents.
If that was true, if we could choose our life, then I think we would all replace them, and they know it. So they don't want us to know we have a choice outside the multiple choices. Because if they know you have a choice, then they know the first thing we're going to choose is them out.
Okay. Any other information that would be massively beneficial for reality if everybody hears coming from you that we need to go over?
I'm looking at Mariel here, who's making comments rejecting me and saying I'm wrong, and I'll just correct you and say, no, I don't fit into your reality. I am only in mine. So if you don't like my reality, then don't watch it. That's the choice there. I'm not going to tell another person that they're wrong. Not when they're is an artist wrong for painting a painting? No, it's actually rude to tell someone else they're wrong, because you're spitting on their art.
I feel the thing that could be closest to being wrong is to say that something else is wrong.
Correct. I agree.
And even that isn't wrong. But if I were to have to choose something that should not happen, it would be somebody else saying that something should not happen.
I concur. And so when I disagree with someone, I look at like, oh, why is it that I don't like that so much? What is it in that thing that's a threat to me? Why is me here in Human Garage talking right now a threat to you? Why can't I didn't say you're wrong. I said it's not the way the matrix works. If you're thinking that there is a right and a wrong. You're in that first camp we were talking about, that there is an absolute right, there's an absolute wrong, which means you're a radical scientist, energetically. And by the way, everyone's trained that way. The truth is we've been programmed to think that there's absolute rights and wrongs. And I don't, again, I can't help you. I can't remember her name, Miriam or whatever. I can't help you because we're going to fundamentally always disagree. Always. Yeah.
People are scared of the not right or wrong because they feel that it gives people permission to be wrong. And it's
not right. I think what it does is they've signed up for this. They didn't create their own religion. They signed up for someone else's. And so if that religion goes down, they're without anything, right? So ultimately, it's a threat. I know a lot of people are talking about the steps, okay? One of the things about being with Ra here is that we go off in little tangents sometimes and we talk bigger world picture stuff that Gary and I don't have the time to choose. But I have gone over it for you guys. Step 3, today. Step 4, tomorrow. Step 5, what you think on Thursday. Step 6, do you accept and receive what this is going to be? That's ultimately what it's about. It's about recognizing inside yourself, do you want to continue becoming this about your beliefs? Do you want to continue becoming this about where you belong. And the reason why if someone called me wrong today is because today is step 3. So step 3 is, do I believe in myself? And what did I do? I could with their chart. But what I do is today, it's like I have someone who's saying to me, I'm wrong. To me, what that says is I'm either going to follow this Pied Piper into her woods, or I'm going to say to myself, I know my matrix better than mine. Maybe we shouldn't be co-matrixing. There's other places where we can be. I'm pretty solid here at the garage, so I'm staying. That's how I feel. That's what it is. Well, the same thing is like people who are, radical, spiritual. It's, telling us this person died for your sins and whatever. It's like, no, that's what you believe, right? That's your take on it. So for the given week, just because people seem to be starved for it, this is a week of looking at yourself really deeply, to where you might manifest a rude reaction on a live show, something like that, where you're forced to like look at something that you normally don't look at, to really look at your own beliefs. And if you have anything in the world that you don't like, it's you. Somewhere you don't like you. And if I'm being told wrong, that's because there's something in you that feels is wrong about you, and you're looking for a clue of you through me as the Mussolini playing Trump kind of thing. Like, it's just how we mirror stuff. The other aspect that's happening too is letting things go. So you have to let go of the old. You have to be willing to say, maybe I'm just going to redo all this and start from scratch, which means that you ultimately look at the perspective of life as could be, maybe, we'll see. The problem with Virgo is it's what's real. It's what you realize. It's what you believe is real. And we're not yet in the power structure where we believe that we can actually create reality. So again, we feel like we are subject to reality. And so reality becomes very much closed in, and people feel trapped in Virgo. They feel like, I'm trapped in this marriage, I'm trapped in this job, I'm trapped in this situation, because they're looking at all the things they have made real, and they've forgotten that they can unrealize it.
There's a choice every moment.
Because you said so, and no other reason. So as soon as I say, as soon as, we've all seen it. You think that she's the hot one for you, back when you were single, or this is it. And then, or same with women to men, like he looks alike, and then he brings up that he's got 2 girlfriends. In that one moment, he went from hot to not. The reality shifted that fast. And you're telling me that you can't change reality when you do it all the time? Yeah. It's perception. So it's really about what you perceive in yourself this week and how you choose to respond to it. I say respond to it as, I don't like that. I think I'll replace it. That's what I believe.
Simple as that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any more comments? Okay,
no,
but you're calling me. Yeah.
Everyone's just, hey, everybody, we appreciate the comments. We appreciate the questions. So definitely keep them coming. And I think that it's all here for a reason. And thank you for laying out that forecast, Chris.
You're welcome. And having a great philosophical discussion about something. We should keep this video pinned somewhere.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be reposted, everybody. Watch, comment, share. It's going to be up in a few minutes. All right.
And you and I we should say it's you and me for 3 weeks, right? Like,
yeah.
So for 3 weeks, it's the Ron Chris show. We're turning this into a game show now.
Next Monday and the Monday after, because Gary is got a very dense travel situation. So we're going to be here next week.
No, this is awesome. I was just going to say, well, we'll think about maybe have a series here the next couple. I'll text you, but maybe we should bring up a couple of points and arc it.
Yes, because I think both of our perspectives are pretty interesting together. They're different, but they're aligned. And maybe we'll find something we don't agree on, but we haven't really been there yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At which point I'll just say, "Oh, cool. I don't prefer my lemonade that way." I'll be cool with it. I think difference is interesting. I really do. When you're in control of your reality and you see someone different than you, they're interesting at that point. Huh.
Yeah, it's another perspective.
Why would she choose that? That's interesting. Why would you go on that ride at the carnival? You throw up on that ride. Like, I wouldn't go on that ride. It's not personal anymore when you are the one, creating it. So I'll just in with a shameless plug, SeriesStory.com. We now have on our homepage for free to the public a daily download, which is basically just 3 minutes of today. Just a simple free thing for everyone in the world, along with what step number it is right now, what clock is it. We have a menu at the top that tells you what step number is it. And we give you a little audio of like, here's the deal with just today. So people who don't have the money, we've completely given it away for you to help you. We're going more and more down the human garage model as we can afford it.
Guys, this used to be charged for.
Yeah,
So now it's free. It's
that's right.
extremely valuable.
Thank you.
Go check that out.
Thank you. And thank you, Ra. Always a pleasure, sir.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye,
Love you,
everybody.
bro. Bye-bye.
You too.